Okay. Hey guys, it's Kim. I'm back with another video. This is another video in response to Kellyanne's Self-Love September, and this time I'm going to be talking about my inner child and sort of my journey with my inner child, and also my journey of dealing with kind of insecurities and self-esteem issues or image issues about looking very young and being called childish from time to time, stuff like that. But first of all, I want to share with you a story. Actually, before that, I just wanted to say that this video is kind of like an afterthought because I wrote a blog post first, in this case, and then I'm doing this video. Unlike my previous one, I did the long elephantine video first, and then I wrote an afterthought. But yeah, for this topic, I was inspired to write a blog post first. So I want to share with you a story. The other day, I accompanied my dad to the sort of the community nursing station to get his dressing changed. He just like went through a surgery and whatnot. I'm not gonna go into too much details here, but basically, I encountered an elderly nurse, and she asked me an interesting question. So because I look really really young, and I know like I sometimes too, some people I look fresh out of high school, especially when I dress really casually, which is most of the time. She asked me, "Hey, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And I was just completely um, blanking out. I was just completely taken aback, and I did not know how to answer that question because number one, I was like really tired that morning, been sleep deprived for like the past few days, and I just didn't know. It just wasn't processing very well. I mean, my brain. And then secondly, I was like, huh. In the back of my mind, I was like, well, I already grew up. Second, I'm already who I want to be in this life. And before that, she actually asked me, oh, what do you do? As in, like, trying to figure out my age. And I was also blanking out, one, because I was really tired, and second, like, I was having some second thoughts because I wanted to say I'm a full-time English tutor. I'm also a heart-centered business owner, as in like I'm a tarot reader, and then I want to, I'm in this spiritual business, but I wasn't sure how to. I feel like you're a little bit weird about that, sort of like it's kind of like coming out, and I wasn't sure how she was going to react, and I would probably be required to explain more, and I just did not want to talk that morning. So, but yeah, that's probably one of the things I need to work on, is that owning sort of um, this side of me, I guess, because it took me a while to actually even just talk to my friends about, hey, I'm building up this spiritual business, and I want to do good in the world by being me in this way. And it's taken a while for me to kind of just be more open about it, but still a work in progress, I guess. But anyway, she asked me what I wanted to be, what I want to be when I grow up, and that was just such an odd question. And then she's like, oh, I mean, like, what do you want to do after you finish university? Because I kind of mentioned that I went to UBC, went to university and everything. But I think she kind of just misunderstood me because I told her I was 25 years old, and I also told her that I finished university a couple of years ago already. But I think I just look like such a cute little Asian girl, whatever. It's with the short hair and the t-shirt and everything. I think she just totally forgot, and then she asked me like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it was just such a weird question. And um, I think normally I would be very upset about that because I think sometimes even now, but for the most part of my life, I've always been really self-conscious about the way I look. I really, really hate, like, just really hated, being called childish or childlike, or you look like a kid, or you look really, really young, because, that judgment seems to implicate that you're really young. And sometimes in my job, like when I meet new students for English tutoring, some parents would just cast me this like curious look, like, oh, you look like you're still going to school, that you kind of look like a high school student, like underlying question being like, can you really tutor and teach my kid? Can you actually do any good? Are you like who you say you are? So that kind of sucks. That I experience ageism from time to time just because I look super young. It's kind of like every time I want to get like a scratch and win ticket, they will ask me to see my ID because I look like a baby. But all of that I kind of gotten used to, and I grow more confident about, being kind of seen as very, kind of being as, kind of people seeing me as younger than looking younger than I am. I've kind of come to terms with it just because I know that I can't change the way I look. At some point in my life, or actually just pretty recently, I tried to grow my hair longer because I thought that would make me look more professional and more mature. But honestly, people still thought I was like 17 anyway, so it's like, if I'm gonna look like a freaking kid, I'm just gonna look cute doing it because I love short hair. I'm not gonna change the way I look anymore, and I just freaking love short hair. I'm not gonna grow my hair just so I can appease your standards of maturity and whatnot, in terms of appearance. So I just stopped doing that, and that was a nice thing I did for myself. But yeah, when it comes to like looking really mature or the desire to be really mature, I think part of it has to do with when I was growing up. I was always primed or kind of brainwashed into believing that I need to act like a big sister, I need to act really mature, I need to be like an adult. And that was kind of how I coped with a lot of the issues that I was having with relationships and with friends and with immigrating. Immigration is always like pretty challenging because you're being uprooted from your own culture and you have to kind of deal with like a new set of circumstances. And I was like 13 at a time. It was also a time when when you're transitioning from a teen to a teenager, you're trying to find yourself, you're trying to contextualize, right? You're trying to find kind of just define yourself maybe against your peers. You're trying to find where you stand in the world. And I literally was standing on a new set of ground, and I was trying to cope with that, and I didn't really know how to cope with it. And one of the ways in which I coped with it was to tell myself that you're just a really mature person, and it's no wonder that your peers don't understand you because you think differently. And that was kind of the story I told myself. I remember another story that I told myself was I told myself that I was the ghost and I walk alone and live alone. I was this sort of like ghost, too cool for everybody. I was too mature. It sounds really gross, but but it was because I was really insecure and didn't know how to deal with it. So I kind of came up with this story, and eventually down the road I realized that the people, or the need to be called, or the need to call yourself mature, or the need to sort of distinguish yourself from, oh, I don't do those childish things anymore, oh, I'm not a kid, oh, I'm just too mature for my age, that's actually a sign of immaturity. Because when you're mature, you don't need to declare, you're just who you are. And in all ways of life, right? It's like, if you need to declare yourself to be something, that's probably because you're lacking that particular trait you're declaring. So yeah, eventually I came to terms with it. But yeah, when I was growing up, I've always just I always have, like, let me just put it this way. I have an inner child, and this inner child has a big personality, probably more so than everybody else I ever meet. I just love being a kid sometimes. That is not to say that I'm irresponsible or immature in the way that, when it comes to, say, problem solving or relationships. Like, I'm not irresponsible in that way, right? I'm not immature. But it's just like I love being goofy, I love having fun, I love cracking like silly jokes. I still love Disney, I love watching animation. Like dress somewhat casually just because I don't feel like I need to like dress super fashionably or whatever. I kind of have my own groove. I still love to make silly noises. I still play with plushies. I have like my little pony sippy cup. It's and I think I come to realize that those things are just the things I like. They define an aspect of my personality, or more so, they reflect my interests, but they don't really reflect me as a person. I think a lot of people that I come to know, they would say, "Oh, from the start, I would seem like such a really like a bubbly girl." But there's also this kind of intellectual and sort of quiet side, or quiet spiritual side, where I can, I like to talk about philosophical stuff or ask deep questions or just think about random things that's not super bubbly. So yeah, there's that side of me. So I come to realize that having a big inner kid, that's one side of me, and it's a big part of me. And I just kind of feel like over the years, my inner child really, really wanted to come out. And I think a good thing was I kind of repressed and kind of just oppressed the inner child inside of me, but I never did it in a way that I didn't kill her, is what I'm saying. Because I think she still wanted to come out, and I wanted to come out. I wanted to be accepted as, being a big kid sometimes, and it's fun, and I love being a kid. And but some people aren't very understanding. I feel like it's maybe because they have their own issues they want to deal with when it comes to maturity and acting, appropriately in certain situations. But yeah, just thinking back a lot of the memories that I had with people that I encountered who kind of judged me for being a kid, or for being the way I am, or liking the things that I did. Um, Now that I think of it, I think it's because they have similar issues in their lives and they couldn't really express it, so they kind of projected it onto me, and I kind of became a victim of their own insecurities. Which is fine now because back then I cared a lot. Like, I would sort of just goof around, and then people would be like, oh my god, Kim, why are you so childish? Why are you acting stupid? Like, why do you like this kind of stuff? Like, I get that from my students sometimes. Like, these grade 3, grade 4 girls, they're losing their this childlikeness, right? I told them I like Hello Kitty, and they're just like, really? You like Hello Kitty? Like, you're supposed to be an adult. And that kind of hurts me, not in the way that, oh, they wounded my ego, they kind of insulted me, or they judged me. They're just kids, like, whatever, and I don't really care anymore. It's just that they're kids. They should be at their prime with their inner child, because they are children. They're supposed to be super imaginative. They're supposed to be fun-loving and spontaneous. I mean, I'm not saying all children are the same and they're all supposed to be this like wondrous sort of embodiment of inner child and whatnot. I think in a way they should though. But anyway, but I just feel really sad if you read my blog post. It's just that there our society in general, or the adults in general, sort of when children are growing up, they would be forced to be, they would be put into boxes, and they would be labeled as such and such person. They would, their friends would start telling them unicorns are stupid, or unicorns are for kids. So in order to fit in order to sort of live up to this image of, growing up, being a grown up, being older, they would sort of slowly dissociate themselves from the things that they like for no good reason, really. And that's kind of what I did. I went through a phase, I think when I was in high school, I started dissociating myself with anything that would make me look childish. For example, I would actually stop liking Hello Kitty. I would stop buying cute Asian stationers, even though I love them. I would stop watching anime, or I would stop watching animated films like Disney, or I would just stop engaging in those interests. And that was really painful because I actually like those things. I still do. Not ashamed anymore. But yeah, it was such a silly thing to do at the time, and I just really wanted to feel like a grown-up, or feel like an adult, and by doing these silly arbitrary things, I thought I was becoming more mature, but really what I was doing, I was trying to fit into this model, or this sort of image of, this set of expectations of what it means to be an adult. You're supposed to look like an adult, you're supposed to like, not act silly anymore, because to do that means you're still a kid, or just expectations, like societal expectations, right? And just these stereotypes, or like these expectations for you to conform and whatnot, or just how people think you should behave. And now that I think of it, it's just so silly because, when you grow older, or at least when I'm just kind of getting to this point in life, like all I want to do in life is to be more authentic. Like I want to be more like myself. I want to live to be who I am. I don't want to listen to, like, I don't want to apologize for being who I am anymore. I don't want to apologize for liking Hello Kitty. I don't want to feel ashamed for liking Disney films. I don't want to apologize for not living up to your expectations of what an adult looks like. And because clearly if you're being this judgmental about me not being like an adult, then maybe you have some issues too. So, and that's not my problem, and it's your own journey, and I'm not gonna apologize for that. It's not, because it's not my problem, right? Like, I'm not gonna apologize for wanting to be myself in the best ways. And I'm not gonna apologize for having an inner child who has a big mouth and a big personality. I'm not gonna apologize for that anymore. Like, honestly, I think, like, I wanna just love myself. I wanna love myself. I wanna love my inner child. I wanna love my inner child so fiercely that I never shut her down or shut her up ever again. Because when I found her, she was huddled up in a corner, she was sad and she was crying, and I'm not gonna let her go through that again. I'm not gonna let myself go through that again. So yeah, I'm not gonna apologize for my inner child because it's just a part of who I am. And maybe for you listening, like it doesn't have to be just your inner child. It could be like another aspect of you. Like don't apologize for that. Don't apologize for who you are because people judge you. People like don't understand. They can go suck it. It's like it's not your fault that they're being like kind of bitchy and judgmental about how you act. It's their problem, and you shouldn't let them affect you at all. I know it's easier said than done because I went through that, right? But I think one of the most empowering things that you can experience is knowing that you can be authentic. It's your choice. You can choose to be authentic, you can choose to be who you are, and you don't have to give a shit about whatever just anybody says about you because chances are they're going through the exact same insecurity and they are not decent enough to keep it in their own world and they have to kind of just push it on you and whatever. But yeah, fuck that shit, right? um, yeah, so I didn't want this video to drag on too long, but I just kind of want to say that, you know, um, if you have an inner child like me, if it has a big personality, if he or she has a big voice, loves life, it loves enjoying the things that he or she does, don't bring her down, man. Don't ever bring down your inner child. Like, always live with that archetype. Like, always have that inner child with you because the world is so much more wonderful and colorful with your inner child. And um, and also your inner child is one aspect of you, like it's one archetype within you. Just because you have a big inner child doesn't mean you don't have an inner parent, or you don't have a inner teacher, or you don't have an inner mature person that guides you through life. It's just one aspect of you, and that doesn't define you in any way as immature or childish. What defines someone's maturity is your ability to problem solve, your ability to listen to others and be responsible and respect, honor, that kind of thing. Liking Disney does not make you childish. Um, but like, say if you punch somebody in the face who doesn't like Disney, then you're probably childish. Different thing. But liking things that typically children like, that's just your interest. It's just what you like. So don't apologize for that. Don't apologize for your inner child. Let her live or let him live. Like, let her live inside you and enjoy life to the fullest. And yeah, that's all I have to say. I'm gonna end this video before it gets too long, and I'm also really thirsty, so I need to take a drink from my little pony cup. I actually brought that for my brother because he's a brony and he's not ashamed of it, but it's actually too small for him, so I just kind of took it. But yeah, on that note, I'm really glad that my family, my entire family, we all have like a big inner child, and I'm so glad that I feel finally like I have accepted my inner child, I've accepted myself, and that's such an empowering thing, and you should totally do the same. And I'm kind of high, probably because I just drank a cup of tea, but I think I'm just high because lots of good things happened recently, despite lots of shitty things that also happened. But hey, that's usually when blessings come in, right? It's when you're able to recognize the amazing things and the shitty things that happen. It's like a call to rise. It's like an opportunity for you to be courageous. That's how I see challenges now. It's just an opportunity for you to be brave and to be courageous and to be even more authentic and strong than who you were before. But yeah, so last time, don't apologize for your inner child, or don't ever apologize for being who you are. People who judge you, they can go suck it. And that's all I have to say.